So, do you remember your first cell phone? I do. It was a Nokia 3310. I actually have a picture here of it, just for reference purposes. Taking a look at that, it wasn't much, but at the time it was truly groundbreaking. As an older millennial, the technology of cell phones was very different when I was a kid. We didn't have unlimited texting. Text messages cost 10 cents each to send. There was no touchscreen or app store. If you weren't careful, you could literally rack up a huge cell phone bill. There were many times when I would accidentally hit the internet button on my cell phone, and my parents' bill would be $3 or $4 higher just for me accidentally doing that. Definitely a vast difference in how things sort of are set up today. Today, I would like to take a look at the original iPhone, a device that I feel like truly shaped phones as we know it today. I want to examine sort of like the history and the origin and make note of how it all began, starting with development and what the original iPhone had to offer in 2007 when it was actually released. It was the early 2000s and Apple was dominating the market with their iPod. They had released laptops, they had released computers, and the iPod was an overnight success. People wanted their music on the go. But there was something missing: a phone. Apple set their sights on creating the world's first Apple-sanctioned phone, and in a collab with Motorola, released the Rocker E1 in September of 2005. The Rocker E1 sounded amazing on paper. It was the first phone to integrate iTunes. But there were a lot of issues. The Rocker was plagued by a really cheap design, a horrible camera, a clunky interface, and it had really limited storage. You could only store up to 100 songs. All of this made it not very practical for the average person. And just as quick as it was released, Apple ended support for the Rocker E1 in September of 2005, only 1 year after its release. Some refer to this phone to this day as a one-year wonder, referencing how it was released in 2004 and then cut loose in 2005. But after ending support for the Rocker E1, Apple had their sights set on something higher. Development of the iPhone actually started right as the Rocker's support ended in September of 2005, and it was codenamed Project Purple. The original idea was to pit two phones against each other, all Apple branded, and see which would dominate the market. Ultimately though, Apple decided to scrap this idea and preference in putting all of their time and energy into one device. Scott Forstall was the head of Project Purple development, and he led the project in a very top secret way. He was only allowed to recruit from within Apple, and engineers would not be told what they were working on when they were recruited. They were let know that a new project was starting and that it was very innovative, and that they could say yes or no. If they said yes, it was definitely worthwhile, but they were never actually told what they would be working on. Apple wanted to keep that hush-hush. Rumors started to circulate around Apple that there was a new project starting, and people started to notice that engineers were missing. They had no idea where they went. They knew they weren't fired, but where did they go? The whole project had sort of like a fight club mentality to it. Don't talk about the project. Security was very tight. Apple did not want anyone to know about the iPhone, even that it was in development, much less leaks. So there were cameras everywhere, badge readers were at the door, and only one floor of the whole building was dedicated to Project Purple. Finally, the day came, and on January 9th, 2007, Apple announced the iPhone. The original iPhone contained many breakthrough features that we have on our phones today. This includes Google Search, a touchscreen that can be fully navigated using your finger, Google Maps, and YouTube. Keep in mind though, there are a lot of features that we have now that weren't available on the iPhone and came later. Those included video recording capabilities, the App Store, third-party apps, and options to even just simply change your background. those all coming much later. Today we discuss the origin and the history of the iPhone. The rocker Apple created was an attempt at creating a phone, but over the years, trial, error, and innovation have brought the iPhone sort of to what we know and love today. In closing is a quote by Steve Jobs on the day that the iPhone was announced. An iPod, a phone, an internet mobile communicator. These are not three devices, and we are calling it iPhone. Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone, and I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that they did. Thank you. This is James Purvis, and this has been my informative speech.